you're studying and you're kind of skimming over everything, it's not really doing much because you're not in the sciences, you're not really going to retain it because the science questions are in like kind of in detail. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like, what is the renal artery function?
Yeah.
You have to know it. Like the questions are kind of tricky, but other parts that you could like focus on is like math. Math is really important. If you don't know how to do any of the practice math, practice the math.
I feel like there's a lot of like basic algebra.
It wasn't tricky math, but if you don't know how to do it, focus on math, because that's something that practicing and studying that will really help you, and you will retain it because you'll be like, oh, I just did that last week.
I think for the science section, it's like very broad, and like that might be the most like fluctuating. Like you might think you're gonna do really good and then you do really bad. Like I talked to some of my friends that took the TEAS multiple times, and like the first test versus the second test, like the second was so hard and the third was so hard and it was so random and so different. So like that's where you might lose some points, but especially for math, make sure you're confident with like how to do everything. If you don't understand something, like watch a video, read a book, ask someone, like any other students or teachers for help. Because for me, math was like one of my strong suits, and I don't want to like sound like, I got like 100% in the math section, and like I was like confident because like it was just like all like basic. Like if you know math, math is math.
You either know it or you don't.
Yeah, and you can go into the TEAS like feeling confident, like, oh, I'm gonna do well on this section, and like I might slip a little in the science or something like that, and like that's okay. Also for me, reading, it's really hard for me to like force myself to read and retain it and like be quiet and that kind of thing. I'm just not good at reading and retaining stuff. So that was my lowest section, and that's also the first section of the TEAS when you take it. So I was like a little jittery, and I was talking with all my friends before starting the TEAS, and I sat down and like my heart's still pounding. I'm still in like talking mode and hanging out with my friends mode. So I wasn't ready to like start reading and paying attention. But like just being able to practice like reading and like learning by yourself and like kind of just like retaining and making sense of what you're reading, like that is also a good thing to do. But
you need to know your conversions. That's the one thing. It would ask you a math question and it would be like, how many liters is blah, blah, blah milliliters? And it's like, if you don't know the conversion, you literally don't know.
yeah.
So study your conversions. That's like one thing that you can really study.
I would say for the TEAS book that I got, the math section like taught you how to do all the problems that it was going to ask you about. And so it didn't necessarily have every problem or like the type of problem that I studied, but it had all of them. That was on the test. Yeah, I think science can be random. I remember there were questions that I was like, I've never even heard of this, like let alone I don't even know how to answer it. And so it's like you kind of just gotta take your best guess. But with math, it's like, oh, I know exactly how to do this problem because I studied it.
It's kind of hard to take your best guess with math.
Yeah.
It's easier to do with the other.
Definitely. I would say as far as classes go too, a lot of times I would even like record myself reading my notes and then like listen to it while I'm in the shower or driving somewhere. Just like the repetition of like it staying in my brain. Yeah, just be confident though. Like go into it, don't second guess yourself. Even if you're like, gosh, I remember us talking about this in class, but I have no idea. Like, it's okay, move on, go back to it, and just like keep going, just be confident.
It's all gonna work out.
Yeah. And even, I feel like the science professors are really great, and they really want you guys to succeed. Like there were times where, like in physiology, I feel like as far as like my first 2 years went, like my lowest test scores were in physiology. But then I had Miller, and he gave us these like extra credit papers, and I got an A in the class because of that. Even though like I think my test average was like a high C. Yeah, so they want you guys to succeed, and they want you guys to know the information. I think that's the most important. They want you guys to learn.
So from what I've heard from you guys, pacing yourselves was very important for this exam, or for studying. Was that also something, or what would you say? How did you manage it so that your time was well spent, or how would you want to take that?
would say for me, I would set aside an hour and a half or 2 hours every day. This was for the TEAS. I don't even think I studied this much for like my classes, but study for your classes. For the TEAS, I would set aside about an hour and a half or 2 hours every day. I'd go to the library. I would turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'd put my computer on Do Not Disturb. So it's like I was literally just locked in, doing what I need to do. And then it's like once you're done, you can just enjoy the rest of your day, or like do something else for your classes. But then it just gives your brain a rest.
I think being a pre-health major, being a pre-nursing major, the library is gonna be your best friend, but in the best way possible. Like I and all of my friends were in the library for hours on hours and hours, but it was so fun that it became like, when I think of the library, I think of all the fun times I had, whether it's study sessions, like writing on the whiteboards or the windows. You're just gonna, even like in the program, you're gonna get used to so many long hours of studying, but I feel like for people who don't really understand studying, that sounds horrible, but like it's fun. Like and like I'm not a nerd, like I promise, like it's fun. Like I like love the library. So you kind of like, you guys know, I mean, your major is hard, like it's hard, but you're gonna learn to love it if you don't already. Just get good study groups, good friends, and it's fun. Get like a matcha, head to the library, and just stay there for hours. I don't know, it's fun.
Figure out your learning style too. I feel like when I got into college, I had to really like learn how to study, and yeah, I know for myself like reading does not do it for me, and so I have to watch videos, do practice questions. So learn your study style and what you retain information with best, because you also save a lot of time that way. Like if you're like, oh, I gotta read 5 chapters, and you spend 2 hours doing that, and then you retain none of it, it's like those 2 hours are gone. And so it's like, but if I need to go over all these chapters, I have 5 videos that I can watch on each one, and I retain all of it, then it's like my 2 hours were spent so well.
I think they're called mnemonics. Mnemonics are awesome. We're in pharmacology, so we're learning a bunch of drugs, and there's a YouTube account called Pixarize. And I'm a visual learner, so when I see these little like animations in front of me of like what these things are, if you look up on YouTube like mnemonic for physiology, it's really gonna help you like on exam day. We would have like groups, and we had to learn all of the cranial nerves. And I will never forget like the vagus nerve being a 10, because she's a 10 in Vegas. Like, I don't know, just like little things, like you'll always remember those like little things that you do. I don't know, they're fun.
Yeah, like make up silly little things like that, it'll help. And yeah, find your, like the way you study best, because he was like asking if spacing it out is helpful for us, and for me, like no. Like I need to cram. If I'm studying for 2 hours, there's like no point. I'd much rather study for like 6 and like get locked in and get a lot done. When I was studying for the TEAS, I think I said I studied for like a month, and I think I just set aside like weekends, at least one day every weekend leading up to the TEAS, and I'd go to a coffee shop, like find something that's fun like that, like make it fun for yourself. I'd go to a coffee shop and stay there for like 8 hours and just watch all the videos I needed to watch and like study everything I needed to study. But it was fun for me because I'm at a cute little coffee shop and I got a fun drink for $7. And it's like, that's annoying, $7 for a drink, but $7 for doing well on your exam, like I think it's worth it. That's my logic. But then like I started losing money, so I'd like go to the library. And library's fun too. But like buy yourself a little fun drink, like treat yourself. Yeah, give yourself rewards, give yourself like breaks if that's what you like, or like however you study best. Just try everything, figure it out.
We'd be in the library sometimes like really, really, really late, and then it would be like sweet treat time. So like we'd just really look forward to like a reward, like reward yourselves. Like you just spent hours and hours and hours studying. It just makes it fun.
Lion and Lamb also has really good Wi-Fi. So I remember there was like a couple weeks at the end of I think it might have been my first year where the Wi-Fi was so spotty. And so I would literally go to line and limb every day for like 3-4 hours doing my final papers, projects, whatever, and it like cut my time down so much because I wasn't just sitting there waiting for it to load or yeah. No. Line and limb is great Wi-Fi.
Where is that?
Oh, it's like 5 minutes from here. It's right off of Red Hill. If you get on the 55 and you get off at Bear Street, it's like just a couple blocks from there. You just like put in your maps.
But always encourage each other. Like, I feel like it can be so discouraging because you're competing with your classmates for a spot, which is, I just think it's like toxic because it just sucks. Like, those are your friends. Like, encourage one another, build each other up. We all have our own plan.
If you find a great resource, like share it.
Yeah.
There's like gatekeeping is so lame in especially when it comes to academics. Because especially like I would say it was almost a little bit toxic first couple years, but then now even in the nursing program, it's like, all right, we're all in this together. Like we all are trying to be nurses here, so it's like, what's the point of, oh wow, I found this really great resource, but I'm just gonna keep it to myself because I want to be like a secret learner. Like what? That makes no sense. Don't gatekeep resources.
Also, like, don't procrastinate too much because, like, I think being in the nursing program too, like, I'll turn down plans because I have an assignment to do that'll take me like an hour and a half, but I'll think about doing the assignment for like 3 hours and I won't start until like 5 p.m. and I could have done something with my day. So, like, just do what you need to do and then, like, enjoy life outside of it. We have lives outside of class. It's possible.
One of my favorite things is Quizlet, so I will make like flashcards, and if I just like really need to veg out, I'll like turn on a show, like a little background show, like go through my Quizlet flashcards. It just like helps, and you can like retain it and like see it and visualize. But it's important to study, but like also incorporate it with fun so you don't really tire yourself out.
A lot of the times too, Quizlet will already have slides made like for the chapters and the books you guys are going through, and so that's also a really great resource of just having more questions like on the material you're going over right now. I feel like Quizlet, especially in the nursing school, like it's all about critical thinking and like the why behind what you're doing. And yeah, we love Quizlet. We love, like, you could literally look up the like your textbook you're going over, and like there will be Quizlets already for like that textbook.
I'm just we have like end of chapter questions in like our textbooks that'll just help us for studying for our pharmacology quizzes. And yeah, and so like you guys will probably have that in your chapter textbooks. They're just like example questions, and they really just test you and really see if you like know the information. But just kind of backpacking on the TEAS, it's a lot of critical thinking. Even just like our assignments that are ATI, it's so much critical thinking. So don't beat yourself up if you don't really like understand it. We have so many ATI assignments, and it's like it's hard. Like we don't score well a lot of the time on our first attempt, and it's okay because we're learning. We're all here for learning, and it's okay if you don't know something. You'll always learn. But yeah.
Okay. Are there any other? We can ask a whole bunch more questions either from here, but from you guys specifically, is there anything else that stands out that you guys want to ask questions about? What classes do you think that you guys? So what were the classes that you did? Definitely studying. So you said math. You said human physiology. What other classes did you guys have to study for?
A lot of phys, anatomy for sure. Body systems. It would just ask you like urinary system, the blah 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 does blank. Like what are the kidneys doing?
I feel like that was
A lot of body systems. Math, but here you're supposed to take stats. There's no stats on it. It's like all algebra, in my opinion. It's like, okay, a nurse is administering 1 milliliter for, you know, stuff. Like, what is like a good example? You can tell me.
Swelling.
No, just like math. Like, okay, there's 500 milliliters, but
Oh, there's like those marble questions where it's like, there's 5 blue marbles and 10 red
marbles and 3 green marbles, and you reach into the back. Weren't there some of those?
Yes.
Yeah,
Those-
those questions where it's like critical thinking and it's like not math. I feel like there were some that were like pictures, like noticing the patterns of like boxes and stuff. Like it's not that bad.
What is like a good example in the algebra one?
Like solve for x.
Yeah, a lot of solve for X. A patient needs blank milliliters. There's 500 milliliters in the bottle.
King Henry died drinking chocolate milk.
How many milliliters are in one dose? Or how many? Sorry, this is really confusing.
King Henry died drinking
Yeah.
chocolate milk. The conversions from metric system to, or metric to metric, like through the metric system, and also like, okay, and also like conversions like feet to yards and miles to feet, like 5,280 feet in a mile. Like those like silly little things like that. Oh, gallons, quarts, all of those. Do you have any questions?
But I think what Ali was saying too of if there's like 500 milligrams per milliliter in a medication and the doctor orders 300 milligrams, how many milliliters are you giving? So like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would really recommend the TEAS book because it teaches you how to do all the math.
Yeah, ask us questions. Sorry for not really answering.
Hi. Okay, so if we take our TEAS online and we're only applying to one school for maybe the first one, do we have to buy additional transcripts to send,
Yes.
or just the free one's fine?
You get one free one, but it just sends to Vanguard. So if
Okay.
you're trying to send it to other schools, you have to buy one.
Okay.
Unless you take it, like if you're not taking it here at Vanguard and you're taking it like at a different testing center, then you can pick.
Okay.
But you get one.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common for most exams. Like if you guys take any CLEP exams, it's like the same thing. Like you have one free one, and then if you want to send it to anything else, it's like extra. But I feel like it's not that expensive.
What's a good score for the TEAS exam? Like, I know some people are like, oh, like, just try to get like a 75 on it, but then other places are like, get like a 90 or something like that. Like, what's a good score here?
73 is passing. So
It's like 64, 65.
Oh, really? 64 is passing.
No, it goes like every year, the test goes, the cohort, right? If we have many 90s, the limits goes higher. But the last one was 64, that was the cut to take it into consideration.
Oh,
But we
okay.
have people who they have in the 80s, so 80s could be very good.
I feel like in this, we just went through it, so that's why I'm like, in the 60s is not competitive, in the 70s is good, in the 80s is great, in the 90s, I mean, I'm not the admission, but I feel like in the 90s, you're good.
I think it also depends on the school, your stats, your experience, all that kind of stuff. I know for some other schools they have point systems where if you're a CNA you get more points, and then depending on your GPA you get more points, and then your TEAS score and your science GPA and then your other GPA, everything GPA, and all that kind of stuff goes into it. I don't think Vanguard does a point system for admission, but I would say above 75 is good. If you take it and you get above 75, I would stick with that. And if you're not super confident with that, you can always talk to your counselor, admissions counselor, nursing scheduling counselor, whatever they're called, and ask for some advice. Hey, should I retake this? Blah blah blah, whatever. But 75, I think is
feel
good.
like a high 70 is competitive. In the 80s is just even more competitive, and then in the 90s is outstanding. I mean, I only know 3 people who've gotten in the 90s.
For my cohort, I want to say all of us got between a 75 and an 85. There were some people that did a little bit below 75, a little bit above. I don't know if, to be honest, I don't think for my cohort anyone got in the 90s. I think the highest score was an 89. So yeah, for the recommended score that they told us, they said try to get above a 75, and that's like competitive.
But it varies every cohort, is what I've heard. So if there's a lot of people scoring in the 80s or a lot of people scoring in the 90s, which would be amazing, crazy. It really depends, because then if there's a cohort that the average is like in the 70s, then like if you get in the 70s, you're probably good. But if everyone's scoring in the 80s, you want to shoot for the 80s.
I will also say too. For my cohort, we had more transfers than in past years. I think there were 5 or 6, maybe even 7 transfers, which I mean, I think usually they tell you guys like, oh, they reserve like 2 spots for transfers, but there were just a lot of people in my class that did poorly on the TEAS and poorly in their classes, and so they're like, well, we're gonna take transfers who did better. And so, yeah, try to get above 75, do as best in your classes as you can. Yeah,
Depends on your year.
it really depends on the year.
But I think above a 75 is a good way to shoot.
Yeah, I would agree.
One more.
Yeah.
Can you, say that you get like an 80 your first one, but you wanna do better, and then the next one you get like a 75, can you keep the 80 or?
Yeah, they'll keep your highest score.
Okay, cool.
I don't even know, Dr. C, do you have to give it, like if you score worse, do you even have to send them the transcript?
No, but they haven't seen people. I don't work in nursing. I'm not related to nursing, but I see some students that they go to the nursing program. I have students that they do very well the first time, and later they work worse and worse. So you choose. So you will think that sometimes you get better, right? And that's the goal. But as some of you mentioned, sometimes it gets more harder, and because it changed so much. So no, usually they take the highest, and you can choose.
Yeah, they'll take your highest score.
I think it's smart to just do it once and just one and done.
Yeah.
And focus on your classes.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Here, I saw you first.
For getting into Vanguard's nursing program, I know the TEAS score is important, your GPA, but extracurricular,
Curriculum.
like clubs, did you guys do any of that? Is that important, or?
I'm in intramurals. I feel like it helped. It just gave me something to talk about because I played soccer basically my whole life until I was a senior, because then I just wanted to focus on like nursing school. And one of my interviewers played soccer, played another sport as well. So it just kind of like, it shows that you're well-rounded if you have extracurriculars, but I don't necessarily know if it's that important because there's a lot of people who don't. It's like TEAS exam, GPA, interview is really important. Like, I think it's like really important is your interview.
Letter of recommendation.
Letters of rec. You want 2. 2 is the requirement. 1 from a science professor and 1 from anybody who like knows you. So I had 1 from a family that I have been nannying for since like 3 years now. So they wrote me an awesome one. I had 2 science professors. I had my anatomy lab, my bio professors, and I have a really good family friend who's a DMP, and so she really she wrote me an awesome one because she's in the field and I've known her forever, so she knows what like the field looks like. So I had 4, but I think just 2 would be good too.
Yeah, I had 2. I had 1 from a professor here and 1 from my manager at work, which I'm not in any clubs. I don't play any sports here, but I think I don't even remember. Like there also is an essay for the admission process, and I don't remember if I wrote about my job in there, but in my interview for sure I talked about my job, which I think like showed that I was like well-rounded, even though I wasn't doing like an extracurricular. I talked about like the whole like hands-on working with people, like that kind of thing. And also I volunteered in the hospital for a year in the ER. I got like 100 hours there, so I talked about like being in that environment.
That kind of is like
Oh, is
not
that an extra?
extra?
Yeah.
But like experience.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't do much. I'm not like certified in anything. I wasn't like a phlebotomist or anything crazy, but I'm not in any clubs and I was okay. But get connected, try out a club.
I also don't think that experience is necessary. I had 0 experience in anything, and when they even asked me on my interview, "Do you have experience in anything?" and I was like, "No, I don't," and it was fine. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I wasn't in any clubs or anything for here at Vanguard. They did ask me about if I have any experience in like the hospital setting or which I actually didn't have any experience like when it came to nursing. I had interned with an athletic trainer, and so it's like it's super different. I would say as far as they asked me about experience, not really extracurriculars. Essay is really important. I think every person I feel like that goes into nursing, they say, "Oh, I want to care for people. You know, I want to serve people." Go deeper than that.
Stand out.
Like, why do you want to care for them? Why do you want to serve them? Like, what about that draws you so much to nursing specifically? Because I feel like that's the typical answer, and it's like so true. I feel like when you're in nursing, you do want to care for people, but go even deeper to why you want to care for them. Anything else you guys are saying?
I saw you had a question.
You mentioned the essay. Was there like a prompt that they gave you?
Yeah, I think at least for my group, there were 3 prompts we could pick, and so you just pick one of them.
Ours was just asking, like, how you would like plug Vanguard's truth, virtue, and service into the department or into your field, or just
Oh, and I had
Vanguard's
2.
core values.
I had 2 recommendation letters.
I saw you had a question too.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys already said, but did you guys take the TEAS exam here, in person at an institution, or online?
I took it here.
I took it at home. I kind of wish I took it in person because I had my dog scratching at my door. My parents are out of town, so it's just me.
I took it here. It was just in the computer lab in the library, like the little classroom off to the side. So
I liked taking it at home because I can just I took it early because you're gonna be so nervous that I wanted to take it early. I knew I was gonna wake up early. I ate a big breakfast, not too big, but got my brain ready for the test. Not like a huge breakfast, but I just didn't want to see anyone. I just kind of wanted to isolate and just take it, be done.
Yeah, I took it here with the other people in pre-nursing, and then I know people who also took it just online proctored, and it seemed really easy too. You just kind of have to show your environment, make sure no one's there, and then just have a quiet.
You show your environment. You can't have anything obviously on your desk. Don't cheat. It's not gonna help you. I mean, nursing classes are so hard, and I can't even imagine if I genuinely didn't know the baseline of all these sciences and critical thinking. I'd just be so stressful, and you just wouldn't do well if you cheat because you're just not gonna know.
I took it here, and I took it with all the other pre-nursing students in the computer lab. So it was kind of stressful because I could hear one of my friends sitting next to me reading out loud as she's doing the reading section, and I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to focus. But it ended up being fine. I locked in, but be prepared for something like that if you are taking it in a proctored setting, in a classroom.
The proctoring was a little scary. I had to go to the restroom because the exam was long. I think, what's the maximum? It took me 2 hours, an hour and 45.
I think you get 90 minutes per session.
Okay.
Or
So
maybe
it can
75
take you a
minutes.
while. And I obviously had to use the restroom, and so I had to tell them, I'm getting up, I'm gonna use the restroom. I came back to my laptop and it was you've been inactive. We're gonna, this is a flag because you're gone. And I'm just going to the bathroom. And I was gone for 30 seconds.
Yeah. I don't know, I forgot.
I want to say too, when you're in the nursing program, I know a lot of times when you're taking exams online, it's really easy to cheat, to just have another tab open, whatever. But that's so scary if you're cheating on these exams, because you need to know this stuff for the field you're going into. Yeah, it is super important. Like, this isn't just like basic stuff that you're kind of like, okay, I need to just get through it because it's school. It's like, this is what you need to know for your career. And so it's really important, like, just know your stuff. If you don't do well on a test, like, work with your professor, talk to your classmates, be like, hey, how did you guys study for this? Because I did not do well on it.